Right, now, here we go. So, this was a really bad idea. Taffy and I did this work. Well, I did this work, actually. Taffy just got drunk and got me drunk. She's saying it's not her fault, don't blame her. I'm blaming her because I would never have done this in a sober state of mind. So, there we go, they're ready for reassembly. What I've done here, I've cleaned up, excuse me. I've drank a lot of tea. What I've done, I've cleaned up all of these brake pads. They were actually very good condition. They're the original Nissan brake pads. And yeah, very good condition. I just given them a clean up with some brake fluid, some brake cleaner, sorry. Which was this stuff, brake and clutch cleaner. I use Polyguard stuff. I got it from work again. I get it dirt cheap. So yeah, I just kind of put some of that in a little holder and got my toothbrush on it and just kind of washed it all down and then give it a very light white rubbing down with any excess kind of corrosion, which there was hardly any of, with some wet and dry. And yeah, give them another little final kind of wash over with some brake cleaner, left them to dry. Same with the friction plates, I just checked them over. I didn't use any wet and dry on these because they are very, very good. So yeah, it was all ready for reconstruction. Right, now, which way do these go in? Let's have a look. Let's see how well that works. So let's put that in there, like so. Let's put the pin in, get it through both, push it down, get your Allen key. Let's just double check, see how that looks. So I think that's correct. Yeah, that looks good to me. Now, be careful when you're putting your calipers back together, not to get any grease on your pads here. Yeah, so be careful not to do anything like that. Because these probably aren't going to stay on the bike very long, I'm going to just put a little bit of copper grease on these pins, and I'm going to leave the back of the friction plate or heat plate, whichever you want to call it, I'm going to leave it dry. I'm not going to put any copper grease on it. Yeah, a lot of people get carried away with this whole copper grease thing, and they think because it's your brakes you've got to put it on it because it stops the squealing. Well, those plates will stop the squealing, but things for me that are always handy is actually being able to get that pin out. You only need a little deer dab in there, tiny bit, and get a little bit on this across the pin here. You don't need a lot, you know. You can, like, let's get a bit of tissue. You can, like, totally technical, you can, like, you know, splodge a bit on like so. That's quite a lot. I'll take a bit off. So that'll do. It's just a light covering, there's not a lot on there. Yeah, and basically push that back in. We need to get those pads back up. Make sure you're not got any grease on your fingers before you handle the brake pads. Sorry, I've actually had a very busy day, as every day is, and I've come home and I'm geared up to do this. So I'm sorry if I'm not talking very clearly. I will do my best. I do get a bit excited about doing these things because I'm excited for getting it done. So we'll push this now back in. I'm just going to turn this back in place. On these, there's no split pin on the end here to hold this pin in place. So you know, you really don't probably want a lot of grease in here, because you don't want that too oily or greasy and it for it to come undone. You don't need a hell of a lot, okay, of pressure to keep these in place. So that's that one done. Let's get another pair in. So that one is in. I will give it another final tightening before or once it's on the bike, should I say. So that is one side done. Yeah, they're ready to go on the bike now. One and again, so that's that pin in there. Let's get this one together. So that's really quick, yeah. And you know, garages are charging you a lot of money to do this, so have a go, have a bash. Don't be afraid of having a go. Just make sure you're keeping things clean and free of grease. That is your main enemy. Buy some brake cleaner. You could buy it in spray form, or like a big container like I've bought. But that is a simple job. That really is a simple thing to change your pads, and you don't even need to take off your brake calipers off the bike to do those. You literally can just undo your 2 pins, pull them out, and pull the pads out this way, whilst the caliper is still on the bike, and put them back on in the same way. It's super quick, super easy job, yeah. So there we go. They are ready to be fitted on the bike. Right, good morning, guys. Next morning, I need to get the brake calipers off and the master cylinder, and change and take the brake lines off and put everything back on that's new, and get the system bled out with some fresh brake fluid. You want to be very careful with this brake fluid because it's corrosive. You don't want to get it on your paintwork or anything that it's going to damage. So what you can do to start this off is crack open the top. You can soak it up with some tissue, or you can try pouring it out. Right, that is done. That was done pretty easily. That was what was in the reservoir. Sorted. Now we need to drain the rest of the system. So draining the system, we got our piece of tube that we made up yesterday. Yeah. Put that bad boy on the nipple, on your nipple. Get it on your nipples. So slip him on your nipple. It's nothing worse than a stiff nipple. Well, actually. But anyway, get it on your nipple, your bleed nipple, like so. Push down that little plastic grip tie, hold it nice and tight. Doesn't really matter too much, to be honest, because we're just bleeding it. We're just getting all the fluid out. And loosen off the bleed screw, like so, a little. And oops, make sure I should have made that a little bit longer. Never mind, it'll work. Let's move the mirror out of the way. So we got the brake lever here. Just pump the brake lever, and as you pump the brake lever, you will notice that brake fluid starts dripping out. I hope I've got that in shot for you. Right, so I'm not kind of happy with that. There is going to be some fluid come out of these when I take them off. So that is one side bled out as best I can. Right, so let's take these off. I could bleed out the other side as well first, but I'm firing through this. I don't want to mess around with this too much this morning. So not a lot of fluid coming out. So what we're going to do with this, to catch any fluid, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my glove, pull him off. Yeah, that will catch any fluid. There we go, sorted. I'm gonna stuff a bit of tissue in there, stop that dripping anywhere else. So we can take off the one brake caliper, I think. I'm not going to faff around too much. I could undo the other side as well, do the same again. But I'm just going to power on and get this apart. Okay, they're off. Look at that sorry mess. Oops. Talking of sorry messes, they're dripping. Right, yeah. This is why I've done this, because this is what our salty roads do. These were washed, they were cleaned, but you got to be so thorough. The pads have been on there for some time. I have stripped these down and rebuilt them, but they're just like past their best by a long shot. So that is one off. So that's one side off. Great. So I'm not going to bore you with the other side, because this is going to be a long video. So I'll do the other side and then we'll come back to taking out the rest of the system. Right, okay, so that is both calipers removed, the brake lines are off, and now we need to undo the top bolt here, which is holding the brake lines in place. So let's loosen him off. Oh, it's a bit tight. He's coming. Right, here it comes. There we go. It's out. Bob's your uncle. Fella's your aunt. Is off. We've taken off the brake lines. We could get a little bit of tissue and stick it in that hole where the cable was, where the brake line was fitted on, and that will stop any fluid coming out that's in there. Shouldn't really be much in there now, to be fair. Now we need to undo these two screws here. So we've got one here and one below. Don't know how many mil that is. 5 mil, something like that, maybe. So that's those off. One side off. I mean, really, I should have put the cap back on the reservoir cup, but hey, I'm a daredevil. Let's turn this back around so we have some better access. We've got the switch here, which I've taken off the bottom. Took that switch. There's like an electrical switch here, connector, sorry, which fits onto the brake switch. We need to take that off and fit that on the other master cylinder. So here is the underneath of the old and the new brake master cylinders, brake lever, whatever you want to call it. And we've got this switch, which is the original Kawasaki one, and if you look how kind of narrow these switches are in comparison to that one. Oops, brake fluid dripping everywhere. These are kind of wider and they won't fit on the connector on the Kawasaki, so I need to take that switch off. Just got a little screw, one screw, and this was actually luck, pure luck that this worked out this way and not judgment. Take this one off. I had no idea it would or wouldn't fit. I just went with it and I hope for the best, and it worked out. And sometimes that's what it's about, you know. It's not always like, you don't always know the answer if things are going to work or not. Sometimes you just got to try it out. So that one is on. So what have we got here? We've got like one, that's the locating point for this little plastic piece of plastic. It's used for locating it, and that's where your screw goes, yeah, and that's the screw hole there. Yeah, so line those two up basically, get rid of any excess brake fluid, anything like that. It's all nice and clean and dry. Put him on. So as you can see, that one goes in there, and then you just screw it in place, and it does work fine. I'm going to use the nice new shiny screw, newer one, because that's less likely to corrode. That isn't really actually very ideal. That's not actually very good seal at all. What I might do is like stick a couple on, just to like make things super secure. 1, 2. I could use 3. Right, I mean, it's definitely not going anywhere. It's just the case of whether or not it's fluid tight. It's going to retain that fluid. So let's go for it. Let's try it. You might be saying, Grizz, don't do it, but I'm going to do it.
But if you've reached the end of the video, I just cannot thank you enough for watching right to the end. Your perseverance and determination is above the call. And yeah, thanks for watching part 3 of the brake upgrade series. In part 4, which will be the final installment of this brake upgrade series, I'll be putting all the new parts on the bike, and it will be amazing. I am amazing, and you'll be very impressed. Thanks for watching. Bye.